Teacher talking sports, what it does, what it do, how we live. And yesterday, the NBA regular season came to a close. Playoff basketball will be beginning this weekend. Now we know 4 of the 8 matchups in the opening round. The other 4 will be determined after the play-in tournaments. And so I'll be trying to go over all 8. No promises. Obviously, I have a full-time job as a teacher, but I'll do the best I can. So today we're going to take a look at the 3-6 matchup in the Western Conference, and that is between the 3 seed Minnesota Timberwolves and the 6 seed Phoenix Suns. We see that Timberwolves had a 56-26 record on the season, 7 games better than the Phoenix Suns, who beat the Timberwolves on the final day of the season. Dropped the Timberwolves would have been 2 if they had won that game. Suns would have been in the play-in tournament had they lost. Instead, they are in this 3-6 matchup. You see, Timberwolves had somewhat of a middling offense, but had the best defensive rating in the NBA, led by Defensive Player of the Year favorite Rudy Gobert. Jaden McDaniels, a wonderful defender as well. Suns above average, but not elite offensive rating or defensive rating on the season. Now, both teams shoot the ball well and shoot the ball well from three-point territory, but neither team really makes that a huge part of their offense. So the Suns finished 5th in three-point percentage, Timberwolves 3rd, but the Timberwolves had the 23rd most attempts, and the Suns had the 25th most attempts. The Suns do a great job getting to the free throw line. Minnesota Timberwolves above average in that. Rebounding fairly even between the two teams. Little bit of an advantage to the Suns, despite the Timberwolves starting 2 centers much of their time. But again, let's take a look at the starting lineup. So you take a look at those starting lineups, and it is an advantage. I would give the advantage to the Suns. Although this Timberwolves starting lineup is well above average. Mike Conley still going strong, very deep into his career. Anthony Edwards, many believe he is him. He's that guy that could be the face of the league for the next decade. Jaden McDaniels, all defensive candidate. Not a high usage guy, but again, can be used as a defensive stopper. Karl Anthony Towns, who missed 18 games with a meniscus injury. I believe he's been back for 2. Looked a little bit rusty in those 2 games. We'll have about a week to try to shake off some more of that rust. And as I mentioned, Rudy Gobert likely to win his 4th Defensive Player of the Year. The Suns do have their big 3. Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal. Hasn't clicked quite necessarily like many believe, but they really haven't spent too many games together. I mean, Bradley Beal missed a bunch of time. Booker, Durant missed time. They do have a very strong net rating when those 3 guys are on the court together. Now, Grayson Allen was actually benched for a brief period of time as they attempted to bring Royce O'Neal into the starting lineup. Grayson Allen, I believe, started the last 2 games for the Suns, so I believe he's going to start the playoffs, at least game 1. Grayson Allen actually led the NBA in three-point percentage this season. And Yusuf Nurkic, a wonderful rebounding big man, and quite the load on the offensive end. At least can give Gobert a little bit of fits, when he's guarding him on defense. But of course, he gets nowhere near the amount of touches as the Durant, the Booker, and to a lesser extent, Bradley Beal is playing lesser of a role than he did with the Washington Wizards. Benches, I mean, the clear advantage really has to go to the Timberwolves. Naz Reid, definitely a 6-man of the year candidate, performed admirably in the starting lineup when Karl Anthony Towns was hurt. Slow-mo Kyle Anderson, one of those guys who, can orchestrate an offense as a taller player. Nikhil Alexander Walker also had a bunch of starts this season. Um, Not sure who they're going to use as the backup point guard. They did trade for Monte Morris. But of late, really, it's been fairly even the amount of minutes they're getting, and maybe even a slight advantage to Jordan McLaughlin. So we'll see who gets more of those backup minutes at the point guard when Mike Conley gets his breathers. For the Suns, really, it's just three guys that you can really believe that will definitely play in the playoffs. Royce O'Neal, as I mentioned, they did try him in the starting lineup for a bit of time. Eric Gordon still going strong at the age of, I believe, 35 years old, their best bench scorer. And Drew Eubanks, solid backup five. But a guy like Bol inconsistent minutes. He's had some uh, did not play coach's decisions. As did Josh Okogie, who again was a starter for a time, started 11 games for the Suns, and he's kind of been out of the rotation. So you wonder if a guy like Thaddeus Young, who's had postseason experience, gets some playing time. Of course, they have Isaiah Thomas on the bench, but he barely played after getting his 10-day deals. But again, Timberwolves 3 seed, Suns 6 seed. So, of course, Timberwolves have the home court advantage, 4 home games compared to the Suns 3. If the series were to go 7, now, despite the Suns being the lower seed, they are the favorites according to DraftKings Sportsbook, and it's very close. Suns are minus 120 to the Timberwolves, plus 100. My prediction, and let me say, last year I did go 7-0 in the opening round. Why 7-0 and not 8-0? I'm a diehard Knicks fan. I'm too biased to make a prediction. I can never go against the Knicks. Didn't have as much success in later rounds, but 7 opening round. But I'm going to go with the Phoenix Suns. Debating between 6 and 7 games. You know what? I'm going to go with 6. Now, the Suns swept the Timberwolves in the 3-game series. And 2 of them were recent. Now, Towns didn't play the second game. But again, as I mentioned, the final game of the season, Timberwolves could have won and would have been the second seed. Actually, still had a chance at the first seed. They didn't know the Thunder were going to win at the moment. And the Suns needed a win to avoid the play-in tournament. They got the win, 3-0. Not necessarily a harbinger of, what's to come in the postseason, but I just believe that if the Suns' big three can stay healthy, I know Bradley Beal, maybe it's a big 2.5. I think Bill Simmons actually said that. But Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, arguably 2 top 10 players. I mean, you could argue Anthony Edwards likewise. But we've seen moments. Rudy Gobert, I think his playoff failures are a bit overstated with Utah. I don't think he necessarily was played off the court, which is the narrative from some. But I just like the Suns. Little bit more postseason experience. Of course, Durant got 2 rings. Booker did guide the Suns to the finals not too long ago. I'm going to give them the slight edge and win. I'll say in 6 games, although I thought long and hard about 7. But let me know in the comments, who do you got winning this opening round series between the 3rd-seeded Minnesota Timberwolves and the 6th-seeded Phoenix Suns? Anyhow, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.